in just a minute. There we go. There's our message saying that everything's being recorded. All right, and we are rolling, and we made it through midterm. We are just a few hours into just beyond the halfway point of the class. And here's the weird part is it starts going faster. Okay. And when I say it starts going faster, here's the reason why it goes faster is we're in week 3. And so this Friday, if you are caught up, the good thing about what happens is for those who like to work ahead or stay caught up, Friday, I open up the final week's assignments early. Okay, and there's a reason for it, and I had to fight to do this because typically we are not allowed to open assignments early, but week 4 ends on Thursday. Okay, so not this Thursday, but next Thursday. The last week ends on Thursday at 10 o'clock p.m. So it doesn't even go to 11:59. So this is real important. 7/30/26 is the last day of the class. Okay. So that's real important to remember. 10 p.m. All assignments will need to be finished by that time and submitted. If you're on the system and when that time hits, what happens is the system starts going through all the online classes and logging people out. So even if you're already on, if you're in the middle of doing something, you will be logged out. So that's something that's critical to know. All right. So even if you're in something, that is something to keep in mind that you will not be able to finish it. We'll start setting it up to do the final grades. We have to have everything graded, and by Friday morning, what happens is we turn in all those final grades, and the class will be cleared out. So there are no extensions. Even if I wanted to give you an extension, you would not be able to get back into the class. So that's something that I want to make very clear is I cannot give an extension. If I tried, you still would not be able to access the assignments. So this week starts moving things really quick. This weekend is the last full weekend of the class. Next weekend, there is no weekend. The class ends before that. So that's something that's really um, we need to keep that in mind for those of you that depend on the weekend to catch things up. All right. The other thing is weeks 1, that's no longer accessible. Okay. You can no longer get assignments from week 1. That is done. Okay. If you need an extension for week 2, go into the week 2 self evaluation. Now, people are just putting random scores for what they received. I look at those, okay? Uh, don't just guess. If you didn't do the assignment, your score for that assignment is 0. Put it in. The idea is to look at what you've done, what you've accomplished, what you didn't accomplish, own up to it, put that score in there, and continue on down and request the extension. I don't want anyone getting to the end of the class and say, well, I didn't know what my score was or that I was doing this and that. The idea is to make you see exactly what you're doing and where you are. It's not a slap in the face. It's not this. It's so you are aware. You're not hit with any surprises. If you're hit with a surprise, it's because you weren't looking. The other thing is read the emails. Okay, I have people saying, well, I didn't know this and that. Well, what you're telling me is you're not reading the emails, you're not looking at the text messages, they're reaching out. Everything is in an audit. So if you come and you say, well, I didn't get this or I didn't get that, there's the audit showing when the stuff was sent, when it was opened, or if it wasn't opened. Everything sent is considered course material. So we keep everything. All right. Now, that sounds kind of a little bit of a downer in that, but it's ownership. Okay. Careers are built on what you own. Okay. This is where we step up. This is where we own what we do. Everything is not somebody did this, somebody did that. Your success is built on what you do. Everybody here has incredible talents. I'm always amazed by how well people can do this or do that. Your skills and your talents. I want you to own that. I want you to grow that. I want you to be that successful professional. But we have to grow and develop those, okay? Always be honest with yourself and what you do. Know what you know and know what you don't know. Those are equally important because if you don't know something, let somebody know, hey, I don't know this, so you can develop that skill. All right? That being said, let's get to rolling so we can learn more skills because skills equals ka-ching when it comes to doing that resume, because everything you put on that resume and the more detailed it is, the more money you get. You can be doing the same job as the person next to you, and they could be doing the same work as you, but they're getting more money because of the way they wrote that resume and what skills they have listed. And you can't complain about that because as you're going through your career, how you present yourself is how you get paid and not one size fits all in a career. All right. And we want you to do the best you can do. So let's start sharing here. Kind of bring this up here. I'm going to view this as a student. We're going to start off on our home page and it has changed a little bit. Number one, I've added the announcements up here. These get emailed out to you if you have your announcements set up. And so I want to make sure that people are getting them. I'm putting everything out as much as I can so that people see them. And so right here, if you click on these, you can see everything that is coming through this week. Self-evaluation due today. The reason why I put that as a due date today is so that you get attendance, you get points, and you have the opportunity to request those extensions if needed. Due Wednesday, your first post in the discussion. My take on any discussion is while you're in there, do all three posts. If you only do one post in a discussion for the week, you're throwing away 80 points. If you do two posts, you're throwing away 60 points. Do all three posts, get that 100 points. Okay. Notice there's 2 chapters this week as opposed to 3. Excel has a little more to it. Some people fear it because of formulas. Any formula you're going to use, I'm going to give you. There's no memorization. I had one person put in one of my classes, the hardest part about this week was all the formulas we had to memorize. Well, they didn't do any of the work, and I knew that they didn't know what they were referencing because there's no formula memorization in my class. Any formula you will use, I will give it to you. Okay? So don't complain about something that I never asked you to do. All right? And a quiz. All right. And you will do a project. And I show you how to do every project in this class. But you need to be either in the live class or watch the video. And if you watch the video, you'll know that they can be done in a rather short time because I demoed the entire thing start to finish, including saving it, because you're going to have to save it in a specific format or it will not be accepted. All right. And there's requirements for this project. And these project requirements are going to be very similar to specifications you're going to receive when you're working on the job. All right. Hold on 1 second. Trying to get in the class. There we go. And so these specifications you're going to have on the job and you're going to be required to follow those. not the way you want to, but the requirements for the job specific. So it's great training. So let's take a look inside our modules. Okay, and you'll notice that we are starting on week 2. Week 1 has been removed from your selections since you can no longer access that. And right here for our discussion, we're going to talk about, oops, let me go back here to week 3, Excel. Okay, now Excel is known for its formulas and its not so friendly look. Okay. And the reason why people fear it is because it does look like this. But it's one of the most versatile programs. And if you're not using Excel at work, you're probably using something that looks like it or something that may not look like it, but it's actually running it underneath it. Okay. So I want you to think about how you could use it in your career. All right. Because you can use it in every one of the careers we teach here. So I give you some examples here, how it could be used and some of the features of it. But I want to know how you would use it in your career. Think about what you would use. And in all these discussions, I want you to think about it in your terms, your words, how you would use it. And so once you figure that out, come down here, click on that reply and put in that initial post, your reply to the discussion. Then look for 2 other people through the course of the week and put those responses in. All right. And that's how you do those discussions. And always do those as quickly as possible. Get them done and out of the week. Okay, get them done because you can post all your assignments as quickly as possible. You don't have to wait through the week and go, oh, I need something for Thursday. I need something. Get them done. I will sort out your attendance. But if you miss it, then it's too late. You have to have it done. Don't wait. All right. Okay. So that's something that, don't put things off. If you have system issues, something else comes up. Unfortunately, it's like work. It doesn't wait for you. Okay. I try to work with people, but there's limits to what I can do. Okay. Now, this week, like I said, there's 2 chapters. And the reason being is people get a little intimidated by Excel. And so I'm going to go through and demonstrate a few things. And the chapters work the same like they have in the past, and the same thing for the quiz. I want to get into the project because there's some stuff I want to show you. I'm going to stop screen sharing here for a minute because there's a file that I want to pull up here because I want to give you a little bit of a demonstration here and show you exactly some of the reasons why we use Excel and where you might see something um, as out there in the field. And so let me find it here. Oops. Let me double click on it. All right. So let me go back and I'm going to share this again. So this is actually an Excel sheet for welders. And the reason why we use Excel for in welding, or this is a simple example, and by simple I don't mean easy to necessarily always understand, but as in it's not as complicated as it could be. But one of the things we do in welding is strength testing to make sure our welds are good. Now, a single butt weld, I know people giggle at that. Uh, the formula is O times T times L, which is the length of the weld times the thickness of the plate and that tensile strength. Now, tensile strength is the strength of the metal or the weld as it's being pulled apart before it will snap. Okay. Now, what you see here is the length, the thickness, and that tensile strength, etc. And this is going to calculate it. Well, we could sit here with a calculator, but if I said that length in millimeters, it's not 80, but it's actually 7,800 millimeters. Hit that enter key, you'll see that it calculates for me. So I don't have to worry about, did I make a mistake in typing that in? Now, if the thickness was maybe 18 millimeters, it'll quickly change that. That's the beauty of utilizing Excel. Every time I change a number, it's going to recalculate. I know you're thinking, well, I could do that on a calculator pretty easy, till you start getting down to a little more complicated formulas. Now, a double transverse fillet weld, the formula is 1.414 times H times L times O times T. Now your chances of making a mistake are becoming a little more easy. So you need to take the 1.414 times the length of the weld times the height of the weld times that tensile strength and multiply it all together. So every time that changes as you're checking things, you're going to have to recalculate, kind of like your GPS does, recalculating. All right. So that's some of the things that you could do in welding is verifying your tensile strength here. Now, electrical, they use it there too. Okay. Now, when they're going around trying to figure out how much you can put on a breaker box and how many you might need, they need to know the wattage of each item. So they would key that in here, how many you're going to use, and then that's going to calculate into these loads over here and the maximum demand load. Okay, because your total load and maximum demand load, those are going to be different. Okay, the total load, that's when everything flips on. Maximum demand load is going to be a little bit lower than that. So if I'm putting these into a new building, maybe they need 87 of these. Or the, whoops, that's the wattage. Say the wattage of these is going to be 100, and they're going to, instead of 125, they're going to do 350 in the total building. That's going to tell me my total load, my maximum demand load. Then these down fixtures here, they're going to need 47 of these, or the wattage is going to be 45. Keep getting these backwards. The quantity of these, are going to use 86 of them. That's going to calculate, and it's going to keep running this total. That's going to give me the total load that this is going to need. It's going to allow me to calculate how many boxes I'm going to need to install in the structure and everything else along. So I'm going to have it a little bit easier. I'm going to have a running total going on my laptop or my portable device as I work. HVAC's going to look entirely different. Now, we've all seen something that looks like this, unfortunately, a repair bill. Okay, going to have their name information and unfortunately the bill too. That's going to be us. This is where we're going to get stuck. Okay, now I put some stuff in here like maybe for vents, if it's a home application, maybe you only need 8 or 10 vents. Maybe the price they're going to soak us, it's going to be like, maybe $57 each. And a thermostat, I'm going to need 2 of them. I'm going to do two zones. Then the unit itself, HVAC unit, I'm going to need 1 of those. That's going to set me back $14,750. Going to add that in. It's going to calculate a subtotal for me. And no discount. If I put in a discount, maybe maybe they gave me a $500 discount, which was fake. It's going to recalculate. My tax rate here is 7%. It's going to add in the tax, etc. So Excel doesn't have to look like a regular spreadsheet. You can even put in a logo here, etc., and it will spit bills out for you. So if you're looking at owning your own business, you can design your own billing, and you can email this, PDF it, etc. Now, my med students. Now, if you've been a patient, you've seen these as well. Okay. Now, what this does is you put in the person's name, their allergies, their weight, etc., etc. It's got the drugs here. You'll see some of these are, very dangerous drugs with your fentanyl, your ketamine, etc. And as you put in the person's weight, their years, and all that, what it's going to do here, it's going to change colors over here on the dosing if you start to give the patient too much. It's going to go from green to yellow to red to make sure that you realize, hey, they're starting to get too high of a dose. It's starting to get lethal, especially for things like fentanyl. Okay. There's been a lot of fentanyl deaths, etc. Uh, so these things can change colors, and so it alerts you visually instead of just a warning word. You're going to see it. So when people say, oh, I'll never use this, etc., 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 yes, we do use these things. They do matter, and they are used in our careers right now. Okay. So I want to show you those practical uses in the careers. All right. So we're going to do something that's going to allow you to get some practical use, and but it's not going to be something that, oh my God, I'm going to spend hours and hours on. Watch this demo that I'm going to show you so that you get an idea of how things function without killing your brain. Okay, so let's take a look at the project. Now there's some things with this project. Number one, follow the rules, because there are rules, okay? Do not use a different ready-made template or spreadsheet created by another student. Use the one in here. Do not create your own spreadsheet or workbook. You must use the template files provided below. Okay? There's a reason for it. People want to use AI to create the functions and AI to create the spreadsheet. No. Okay? How about that? No. It's a fun word to say. Formulas are mandatory. Boom. Okay. All calculations must be driven by active Excel formulas. Any submission containing hard-coded values instead of formulas will be rejected automatically with a 0 grade. Don't use the formulas. I like being referred to as Dr. Evil. Thank you. If you don't use the formulas, it's going to be a 0. Okay. That may sound harsh, but otherwise it's just a typing uh, simulator. All right. So the idea is to practice using the formulas. And I'm going to give you the formulas. I show you how to use those. Okay. So the first things first is this is what it's going to look like. And look right here. I give you examples of what the formulas look like too. And there's a reason for it. I want you to see how they work. Okay. I want you to realize how they work. That's the idea. The idea is not to make you an Excel power user, but I want you to learn the basics of this. All right. So please understand the reason why we're doing what you're doing. And this is kind of what it's going to look like. You're going to have this inventory and cost sheet, and you're going to put your name in there, and it's going to have items down here, blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to give you the sheets to use, okay? And they're down here. So you find your career. Doesn't matter which one you use because you're going to use the one that's most aligned for you. and you're going to click the down arrow next to it. If you click on the words, it's going to pull it to your screen and you can see it, but we're going to click the down arrow. And I have a place on my desktop that I'm going to go to, and it's called Demo. And I'm going to go there, and I'm just going to put it under a folder called Today, and I'm going to save it there. Now, wherever you save it, keep track of where you save it. All right. Now, I'm going to leave my student view here for a minute, and we are going to go to the student portal. Very important. And we're going to go to Microsoft 365. If you go to your own Microsoft programs, that's fine if you've got the license. Otherwise, it will tell you you need to purchase them. Otherwise, go to the student portal under your student ID and go to C365, sign in, and the user ID and password are the same as your Canvas user ID and password. And click on these little dots up here in the upper left-hand corner. And so we call these a waffle menu. And when you click on those, you're going to see little apps up here. I'm going to make my screen bigger for you. See if that helps. Whoops, that's the wrong way. There we go. That makes it a little bit bigger for your view. And we are going to click on the green one, which is Excel. That's quite all right, Gunnar. You can use your own. And we are going to click on upload a file, and you're going to go find that file that you downloaded, okay? Mine was under desktop and demo, and it was under today, and I'm going to pull it up by the date so it goes to the top. And open. And it's going to open the file that I asked you to download. So you can see most of it is filled in for you. You're welcome. Now, this is not going to look identical to what yours looks like in the book when you're working. I'm going to make my screen a little bit bigger so that it's easier for you to see. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way over to the right, this little down arrow up at the top. When you're on the right one, it'll say Ribbon Display Options. Click that and say Classic Ribbon, and your screen will change at the top to make it a little bit more understandable. Okay, now I'm going to open up a blank sheet here so I can tell you a little bit more about Excel. Each one of these squares here is called a cell. That's C-E-L-L, just like I typed in there. I'm going to make my screen a little bit bigger here because let me go a little bit bigger. That makes it a little bit easier for you to see. So that's called a cell, okay? And as I click around, you'll notice it highlights up at the top and over at the left-hand side. That's how we reference the cells, okay? And they're referenced by column and row. These are columns here. They run up and down, and rows run left and right. Now, how I remember which one comes first is it spells out crow, is how I remember. Column, row. That's how I remember it myself. So if I'm in this square here, this is column N2. So this is cell N2. And how you can verify that is if you look in this upper left-hand corner where it says name box lit up over there, where I'm at over here, you'll see N2 there. Okay. If I'm down here, this is R8, and this one here is I4. Bingo. Sorry, it's an old person joke. And that's how you reference cells. Now that's going to become important here in a little bit. Now, if I click back on this and press the delete key, it will clear that, or there's other ways I could clear it too. Now, to put something in a cell, you just click on it and you can type right in there, hit the return key, it will leave it there, or you can press the tab key to go across. You can use your arrow keys as well, and that's how you move around the grid, okay? And so that's how you do that. Or you can just click to jump wherever. If I want to select something, you hold down your left mouse key and that will let you select an area. All right, escape usually gets you out of most items. Okay, so if I type a bunch in a cell and hit the return key, it does not fit. It tries, but it doesn't fit. If I go up between the O and the N, you'll notice I get two arrows. If I double click with the left mouse, it will automatically expand to the size of the largest item there. Okay. Now, if I go here and hold on to the left mouse, I can manually slide it back and forth. And yes, Gunnar, you are exactly right. Just like the way they mark chess sets, each square is referenced by a letter and a number. Very much the same. So now we've got information in here. Another way I can clear this is if I click on the letter, it'll highlight everything. If I press the delete key, it'll delete everything in that column. Now, if I had something in here and I had something in here and here, and I clicked on that 4 and then right click and said delete row 4, it would take everything out of that row and everything would move up 1. Okay, if I select in the corner here, it will select everything, and if I press delete, it will wipe out the whole sheet. Okay, this is considered a sheet. Since there's more than one sheet here, this is called a workbook. So it's a worksheet and a workbook, multiple sheets in a book. All right. So now that we've got this, now what? Well, one of the things Excel's known for, its ability to do data entry. So I can type in a 1 here, press my enter key, come back, go to this corner down here. Notice how that little white cross turns black. Once it's black, I hold down the left mouse key, pull it across, let go, boom, I've got 1s. Now, if I have a 1 here and then put a 2 here, go back to the 1, hold down the left mouse key until it highlights both, go to the corner, hold down the left mouse, pull it across, let go, it will fill in the series. Now, if I had a 3 and a 7, and I went back to the 3, pulled it across with the left mouse, go back down to the corner, pull it across, let it go, it's going to skip by 4s because it recognizes the patterns. It will also do this up and down. If I highlight the 2 and the 7, then pull it down, it's going to do it that way. Okay, it can do up, down, left, and right. It does not matter to it. I could have done it this way, and I can grab that corner, pull it all the way across, and it would still continue. All right, now I'm going to clear this. Now, if I'm doing days of the week, I can go Sunday, pull it across, and it will just fill in the days of the week and continue them on through. And yes, you can start anywhere and go any direction. it does not care. I can do this with months as well because, whoops, there's no month called April. They thought about converting May and April into 1 month, but it did not go over well. So you can fill things in rather quickly, and just like the other one, you can go up and you can go down. So it's very, very good at helping you fill out forms and spreadsheet or data type stuff rather quickly. So how does it do math? Okay. So one of the things I want to tell you about before I do that is if you come across and you type in a really big number and you hit enter and you see this, people freak out. Okay. If you see that, that just means the number did not fit. You can double click on this here to expand it. You can manually expand that over, but you can come up here and go and say number under the format, and then expand that out, and it'll expand it into whatever type of format you need, into currency, into accounting format, and everything. Okay? You can change it into a comma format. But that's what's going on. It did not have room to display the number. So don't freak out. It's something you can fix. All right. So that's one of the things that happens. And you can just get rid of that. So let me get rid of some of these sheets here that I don't need that I've just kind of played around with. To get another sheet, you click this plus sign and it'll add another sheet in here. All right, so we got this sheet here, and I'm going to get rid of this extra wide column. There we go. The other thing that people have is data will disappear. And if you look, you may have columns that don't line up. You can come up here and I can hide them. So if you see ABI, that means your column is hidden. Something may have happened where you accidentally did it. Just highlight the two columns by holding that left mouse button, right click, and you'll see unhide columns. Just click that, it'll put them back. So that's something that happens. Sometimes people accidentally do that. Okay, so let's go back and we're going to do math. I want to know my total over here. So I'm going to put 1 here, and I'm going to put a 2 here, but I want my total over here. And it's going to make sense in a minute. So when we say 1 plus 2, we say equals boom. Excel needs to know the same thing. So if you're going to add these things together, Excel doesn't know it's doing math until you tell it equal. Well, what do you want me to make equal? So we go over here, we click the 1. And notice it draws this fancy little sign around it. Well, what are you going to do with this 1? Well, you just type plus. You don't have to move, just type plus. I want to take that and I want to add it. Well, what do you want to add it to? And then just click, left click. And notice it puts a little fancy box around it too. Well, do you want to do anything else? Nope, that's it. Hit return. Boom. You have a 3 there. Well, that's a lot of work just to get a 3. Okay. But it's not just a 3. If we click on that 3 and look up here, look what it puts. It says it's equal to E3 plus F3. E3, F3. That's what it's telling you. It's equal to this plus this. Okay, and there's a reason for that. If I come over here and I click here and I change that 1 to a 5 and hit enter, now that's a 7. Okay, because it's not just adding 1, it's adding whatever is in this cell. Okay, has everybody got that? It doesn't care what's in this box. Think of it as a shoe box, and you're putting a number in that shoe box, and you're putting a number in this shoe box, and then you say, whatever's in those two shoe boxes, write that down here. And then if I come over here and click, and I put a 9 and hit enter, I'll make that 14, because that's what's in my two shoe boxes. That's all it's saying. Add what's ever in those two shoe boxes. Make sense? Okay, so now that's a lot of work for that. But what if we add some more numbers in? So we got all these numbers here, and I want to add them all in here. And to make it look a little better, I'm going to move my thing all the way over to here to put some space. I want to add all of these in. Now I don't want to have to click and click and click and click and click and click. That's going to be a pain. But Excel does it better with a formula. And what we do is we come up here and we click on formulas. And there's this funny little M that says auto sum. And we're going to click on that. And look what it did for us. It highlighted this whole thing and said, do you want me to add everything in here? Well, I'll need to go to P. I'm going to click on that and I'm going to change that P to M because I only need to go to M. And notice that it just cut it off right there. And then I'm going to hit return. There's my number 331. Just like that, it added those together. And I can come in here and I can change this to a 1. And I can change this to a 58. And I can change this to a 200. And I can change this to a 40. And I can go, oops, this should have been 21. And this could have been a 3. And this could have been, and it will keep track. And if I click on it, this is what it says. Sum, which means add, E3, which is here, all the way to here, E3 to M3, E3 to M3. Now, if I added 2 more spaces to O, I would just have to change that. Okay, does that make sense? That's how it adds things or subtracts things. But you always have to begin with that equal sign. All right, everybody good? Yes? All right, because here we go. So now we're going to go back to our sheet here. So total cost, that's going to be the quantity times the unit price. So we're going to start with an equal sign. And it's going to be this. Now to do a times, it's the asterisk. Okay, you can find that above the 8 on most keyboards. If you have a number pad on your keyboard, it's usually above the minus sign. So it's going to be times, and then we're going to click right there. And then we're going to press it return, and that's going to multiply that. Now the discount, you can decide to give somebody a discount or not, and you just type it in. And then the miscellaneous fees are already there. Now the final cost. That's going to be equal to your total, okay, minus, and you're going to click that, and then it's plus any fees. Return. All right. Now, here comes the fun part. We're going to click on that total cost, and there's this little square in the corner, and when you get that plus to turn black, hold down that left mouse button and pull it down to there, to that last item, and let go. And it will copy your formula. So now if I click on this one, look, it's B4 times C4. It's B5 times C5. It does the work for you. The discount, you can go through and you can change those to whatever you want. Just put some in. Just like that. Go to your final cost, get to that little green spot, hold down that left mouse button, and again, pull it down to there. Okay, so far so good. Now for the total quantity, click here, go to the formulas, click auto sum. Is that what you want? Yes, hit return. Go to your total cost, click that auto sum there. Yep, turn, discount, auto sum, return. Miscellaneous fees, you don't really have to put that in, but you can click auto sum, return, final cost, auto sum, return. So these items across the bottom here, those are auto sum. These items here are not. Not auto sum. Okay, these actually have to have the formula. But like I said, if you do the one, you can copy it down, straight on down. And that's how you do that project so quick. But if you don't watch the demo, you may not know that you can copy that formula after you do it one time in each one of those spots. All right. Has everybody got that? Are there any questions? So you can see how quickly you can utilize this and you understand. And if you went up here and you can see, if I change that quantity right there to 57, boom, it changes from here, my total cost, my final cost, and my totals all at the same time. Watch when I change that to 1, watch those numbers change. Boom. This is why Excel's so powerful. If you had to do all these things manually and you are working on a project and you're keeping track of your inventory, this is what kills a business, not keeping track of your expenses. This is what will cost somebody trying to work on their own going under, not being able to track their income and expenses. This is what shuts down the majority of small businesses, not tracking their supplies, not tracking their expenses, not tracking the income versus cost ratios. And it can be done really quickly. All right. Any questions? We're good? All right. So that is it for this week. Again, stay caught up. Final week assignments will open Friday. You can go all the way through if you're able to. You can even finish the entire class before next week starts. If you so desire, get an early jump and relax that final week. And that's it. So we will see you for our final live class next Monday at 7 o'clock. Y'all have a great week, and we will see you then. You're welcome, guys.